are you guys feeling? Ready for kickoff?
I can't wait. I can't believe it's happening tomorrow. I really can't.
It's a weird feeling, eh? It's like
Jeez.
it's like almost like we've been through preseason, but not really. And
yeah, I mean, hasn't it been longer than any preseason that we've ever experienced in our entire lives? I'm sure this has been longer than any break football's ever been on.
Well, I think I saw today it's 100 days or 100 and something days.
Yeah, 100 days. 100 days.
And that's longer from the end of a season to the start of a new season. Am I right? Yeah.
Correct.
And I mean, in the start of a new season, a month before we start seeing preseason friendlies and stuff like that. So this is
well,
the
if you take the what's that Champions Cup or whatever, that fucking thing that happens all over the world, that thing like starts like in the middle of preseason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I can't wait, boys.
It's weird. I've got such a weird feeling about this football thing. Like, I'm excited, but I'm also like, meh. And I think I'm meh because the fact that, for me, the crowds and everything play such a big effect to the game.
It's a huge, absolutely.
And I've struggled to watch the Bundesliga. I've struggled. I've watched it, but I've struggled to watch it.
But you know what's weird? I was thinking about that earlier, and I've been watching a lot of the UFC, and even though it's weird without the crowds, the quality of the fighting seems to have been better. It's like the guys are more,
that's such a good point,
focused and, without the extra distractions and shit.
Absolutely. I think the external factors play a huge role, and a bigger role than we realize. Players try and turn it on for a crowd, try and impress, but when it's down to just, 11v11 behind closed doors, it's almost like football in its purest form. It's just like, let me prove to you that I'm better than you. I don't have to prove to anybody else, fans in the stadium. So it's kind of exciting in that way. But I do hear your point, Keegs. It's been difficult. And that's why I think this thing that they've been doing in Germany and in Spain with the broadcasting studio having commentary, fan noise, and then those graphics in the crowd. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet.
Yeah.
But it kind of does make a bit of a difference. When you hear the vibe, it kind of feels like it's the real thing, and
I've read
stop paying attention to.
I've read some reports saying that apparently, I'm not sure if we'll get it on SuperSport, probably not, but that in the UK, viewers will be able to switch on like crowd noises and stuff.
Yeah.
So that should.
I think it's cool. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I think. On the chat and everything, let's just do a little bit of an intro quickly and snap that onto the end. I don't know if you can. So for the viewers that don't know, Kurt is a new face that has decided to hop on and come help us out a little bit with a bit of a podcast. Kurt and I got a bit of a history together at Soccer Duma. Kurt is also is a young gun in the journalism game that's making big inroads right now. He's done a bit of work for La Liga. Kurtie, did you do Bundesliga stuff? You've gone to Germany, eh?
Yeah, it was last year. I went to Germany, I think it was in March. And then I went to Spain a few months later to a couple of games there. So, yeah.
So Kurt's been around the world now already. We need to send him to South America now or something. Hopefully he comes back. But I don't think Kurt would survive those crowds. But yeah, so Kurt's got a good following in the game. He's got a good audience. He's building a great repertoire for himself. We thought we'd bring him on board to just have a bit of a chat. But footy's a mank like I am. So Wally will probably have a problem with us.
Yeah.
It's fine.
A better fucking crowd to hang around.
But it's fine. Wally hangs around Liverpool people, so it's even worse than us.
Hey, look, at least you guys are doing something right with through old Marcus Rashford, eh?
That's incredible.
Listen, no, if he doesn't kick a ball again, at least he's got a legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's unreal. I never saw this for the guy. I didn't know that he had this like leadership, this whole thing within him. I think it's just been so cool and like admirable, and it's something like he's become one of those players that now rival fans can't even hate. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like a N'Golo Kante. It's just like everybody has to like Rashford now. And it's just incredible. And I saw that the government did announce that U-turn, which is just phenomenal. I can't believe it. I get goosebumps talking about it. It's such a massive impact.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was telling someone earlier,
for a 20-year-old to do something like this when he could just be chilling at home, fucking playing FIFA.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's unreal.
I was telling someone earlier, actually, I was like, you know, it's incredible what the youth can do if they just formulate their arguments better, and they don't just stand for anything. They stand for something that's really close to them. They're very articulate in their arguments.
Yeah.
This is what can come out of it.
Yeah.
This exact thing is what can come out of it. True change can happen for the best. But instead of just, you know, sitting back and wanting to have an opinion about everything, just have an opinion about everything and want to throw your toys out the cot about stuff.
Yeah.
Come with an articulated, like, you know, argument and solution. And this is what happened. Like, I didn't seem like this as well. Like, honestly, I seem as a very soft-spoken, you know, probably loves his football. Football to be where he is, you know, and one of those. But this type of leadership is incredible. And I really hope more young Premier League players don't just jump on his bandwagon.
Yeah.
Actually, go stand for something that you support. Something you feel strongly about, go stand for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's cool. Like, everyone wants to make change, but very few of us actually do anything about that. And he's actually put his money where his mouth is and put his name on the line, because he's also opened himself up to loads of criticism, which I'm sure will come his way when, you know, maybe he drops in form or something happens off the field. You know, some sections of the media will find a way to vilify him at some point. So for him to have done this and just put himself out there and be like, you know what, I'm ready, let's go. And not to be too emotional. I mean, of course, his letter was emotional, but when I think it was last night, I saw that Boris Johnson wasn't going to announce the U-turn or make this U-turn. He just carried on going, saying, come guys, we still need retweets. Let's make this thing go viral. And then today we hear that the change will happen. So phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it also makes a big impact for me in the sense that for a long time, I've started feeling that we shouldn't look up to sports stars the way we have in the past. Like, I remember growing up, I just feel when I was younger, we had a lot more sort of heroes to look up to in sport. And a lot of people still try and obviously find those heroes today, but in sport, there's so little of these guys out there anymore. So I think that it keeps that dream alive a little bit to show what you can do. As a youngster. There's so many, especially in England, there's so many up and coming youngsters that's really making a name for themselves now. So it would be great to see more of this. And even from local footballers, I think there's a huge gap in local football for players to start making you know, real impact in communities.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Like, Rashford has probably a few million followers on Twitter. He's obviously and on Instagram, and then he plays for Manchester United. So he's like a huge football superstar, but it just shows you like what you can do with your platform. So imagine you had like all these billionaires around the world putting together, how much change could actually happen.
Yeah.
And he's just shown that. He's just an athlete at the end of the day. It's just incredible. Like, I'm just so, I know it sounds weird, but I'm proud to be associated with Manchester United. Or be a fan of the club when that's the kind of player the club I support is producing. It's phenomenal. What kind of person, more importantly.
Yeah.
I think like football, like we've said, like football has lost its character. Like there's two things that football, for me, sort of losing is its icons, like you were saying, Ryan. It's like the players really look up to. And I also think like we've driven personalities out of football. Like there's no place for a guy like an Eric Cantona.
Like definitely not. Yeah,
he'd be destroyed in the media. Also, no place for like. I don't think there's a place for like if a Cruyff was around still. Like, I don't think the media would accept it in the same way.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see another way that these footballers can actually now step up, and social injustices and things like that is big on the. It's not just a big topic, but it's massive in the world right now. And if that's the one way footballers can step up and really be accepted more, and not just being accepted, to do something in the right direction. I think that's the.
No, absolutely. Like so many. Okay, sorry, go for it, Ryan.
No, sorry. Just something I wanted to also touch base on that Keegan brought to my attention was, did you guys see the Spurs Norwich situation with one of the Norwich players being tested positive, and now Spurs are still set to play United this weekend?
Yeah. So am I right in saying that the positive result came back after that friendly game?
As far as I understand,
which in itself is a huge problem.
That's what obviously I read. Yes, for me, that's the biggest problem.
It's ridiculous. Like if you are going for a test, whether you are in England or South Africa, in any country, you go for a test, you are at least staying indoors until you get your results back. You aren't gonna go out and go to the shops and go socialize until you get your results back. So I just feel like that's
socially the correct thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now they're saying that that the Tottenham players are allowed to play because they weren't in close contact with this player, even though they were all playing on the same pitch together. Because the government, according to the UK government, close contact means like being in the same room for at least 15 minutes. But I mean, that's absurd considering you're on a football pitch where you're sweating and sort of you're always touching each other in some way or form. You're never going to get that out of the game.
Exactly. Do we know what kind of a role this guy, because obviously that game wasn't televised or anything like that, do we know what kind of role the guy had in that game?
I'm having a look at this one article I have. They don't say who it is.
They don't name the player.
I mean,
that's my concern. Like, so if he was a bench player and he never came on, maybe a different story. A lot of people are saying that he's played. So he was
so it's not really confirmed yet whether he played or not. We don't actually know.
No, he did play.
He managed to get he got on the field. So he did.
Because I read that both players from Norwich and Spurs, they confirmed or they corroborated this guy's story that he hadn't been in close contact with any of the Spurs players. And then the Spurs players confirmed it at a later stage or something like that. And that's why they aren't going to, call off their game.
My concern with the whole thing is, okay, so even if he's not been in contact with the opposition, he's been in contact with fellow teammates.
Absolutely.
Now, some of those teammates will be playing, some of those teammates won't be playing. We don't know. Yes, I had a situation today. I found out that a friend of mine in Kuwait, he's tested positive for corona.
Yeah.
He hasn't left his house in 110 days. Okay.
Wow.
His wife has gone to work. So clearly what's happened is his wife's asymptomatic, not showing. She must have got it. They don't know yet. It's not confirmed because the tests haven't come out. Either her who's asymptomatic or someone who's delivered something to the house. He got it that way. Okay. So, really? Because how else would you get it? It's not going to fly through the window miraculously and appear to you. So my thing is that someone in that squad, they must be asymptomatic and not showing anything. In that Norwich squad. So somehow that must be going around in that squad somehow.
Yeah, no, I mean, you make a point. And also, I don't know if you guys saw, but the World Health Organization announced like a few days ago that if you are asymptomatic, you can't be a carrier.
Exactly.
But then haven't they also done a U-turn on that again? Like it's almost like they know just as much as we do at this time.
Yeah, they retracted that statement. And as far as I know, you do still carry the virus onto other people. But in terms of this football thing, I just feel that surely you would rather just not let Spurs play a game or two rather than playing United, possibly carrying it over to United players who's going to play another team after that. And then you sit with the whole situation where now you're possibly looking at closing the league again.
Of course, but also in an ideal world, what would probably be the most logical thing to do, for me at least, is test the Spurs players. Obviously, Norwich players get tested too. And those results would be back within a day or two. And then if nobody's tested positive, let things continue. But what I think is that they would continue doing testing almost every day or every other day to see if maybe somebody's got it, right?
As far as
you guys think that would be
like testing, like maybe once a week or something.
Okay.
Across the board.
Yeah, see, I'm not too sure if you can test every day. I'm not too sure on the procedure on that. If you can test every single day, or if they are testing every single day. I think the UFC were testing every other day.
Okay.
For their fighters. So in a week, the UFC took their whole roster, and in a whole week, this is people in the corners, fighters, promoters, your commentators. The total amount of testing in a week was 1,100 and something tests in an entire week that they did with everyone that was involved in the production.
And that's a whole lot less people than any single
football
Premier League.
Yeah.
So a football game is at least about triple the. To have a football match play, you at least need about 3 times the amount of people, at least.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure how the testing's done, but it's got a bit of a feeling that the Premier League is under a bit of strain to get this league going. That's what I get from it, because Planet will have financial sort of setbacks if it didn't go ahead, sponsorship setbacks, lashbacks, things like that. But it does seem a bit weird that the Premier League is pushing this case so quickly. I mean, it just seems
like I said, if you're pushing it too hard, instead of now cancelling 1 or 2 games right now, you face the possibility of cancelling the. I mean, they can't put the league off again. If they put it off again, the league's done, null and void.
Yeah.
Which is going to be.
I was thinking now, like. I was thinking it would look really bad on them, obviously, if they had to go and call things off, or at least like the next couple of fixtures involving Spurs and Norwich. But it would look even worse if they allow things to go on and a few players did catch it and the spread even further. Yeah. So, no, for sure. I mean, should they throw caution to the wind? Probably, but I don't know. I mean, if they are confident that nobody was in close contact with this guy, then I guess we're just going to have to take their word for it at the moment, right now. I don't know.
Another thing, Kurt, I'm going to throw this to you, and I know that you've probably had this conversation in the office quite a few times with other folks that we know. Do you think they were under a bit of pressure to get this going, especially the fact that you're probably going to have a new winner and someone that hasn't had the trophy in quite a long time? Do you think these type of pressurized things, not just from a winning point of view, because people always like to talk about the winners, but the relegation, this whole talk has been about its ways to how people want to get, it's either you're on two sides here. They're trying to do everything to make Liverpool champions. They're trying to do everything to not hand the league, to give Liverpool the league. Okay? There's two things. If you look on social media, that's the thing. But no one's talking about the bottom side of the league, which is my biggest concern for me, because Liverpool's won the league whether they play another 2 games or they win another 2 games and don't win another 2 games. That league is done.
Yeah.
But the part is the problem. Do you think that pressure has forced the Premier League to try and jump this thing quicker than?
What do you mean? So do you mean the pressure
do you think that they're under so much pressure to get this league going so they can sort this out so they don't have to deal with that at the end of the day? They don't have to deal with a null and void situation. So in Belgium, Netherlands, they made a straight call. They were like, we're not playing football because we are going to be taking PPE away from hospitals and organizations that need it the most. Sport comes last. As much as there's a greater thing, and the whole social aspect is a bigger situation. In England, the virus has died down a little bit, but it's not wonderful. It's not like how you're looking in Germany or in the Netherlands, who's doing single or they got single-digit numbers in the Netherlands at this point in time.
Yeah.
The UK is close to that. Do you think that they've been put under? They trying to get this league going so they don't have to make tough calls. That's the question basically.
I don't know. I think it would look bad on the Premier League if. I mean, look how well the Bundesliga handled this whole thing. They came out with that whole. I don't know if you guys saw that, like 42-page document listing everything they were going to do and the cautions they would take and things like that. And it seemed pretty, pretty, if I could say, German, very efficient. Like, let's get things done. And I just feel like the Premier League, if they had to declare the season null and void, it would look terrible. And then, especially being the wealthiest league of the top 5. The Premier League's supposed to set the tone for the rest of the world, but Germany beat them to that. Spain's already back, but now we've got the Premier League obviously resuming. So do I think they were under pressure to avoid having to deal with that? I'm not sure, Keith. I'm not convinced, but sure, it would have looked terrible if they called it off. And I do think that maybe, just maybe, League One and Eredivisie jumped the gun on their decisions. I don't know. I think they could have maybe given it a few more weeks or a few more months. I'm not sure that was the smartest thing to do either.
I agree.
I agree with that in saying that other leagues might have jumped the gun because they did have a bit more time. And we have seen now with the Bundesliga that so far so good. It is possible.
Yeah.
So I think obviously they were under pressure. I mean, who wouldn't be under pressure to make that type of decision? But I think it's probably the right time to do it as long as they go about it the right way now and as long as they've got measures in place of what happens if someone, tests positive, which I'm starting to doubt now with this friendly situation against Norwich.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
the only thing is that the Bundesliga has come into this, and like Kurt said, they came in they came into the statement, they came in very well prepared. That 42-page document tells me that preparation.
Yes. Yeah.
They were prepared.
But I think they were also better in their communication with regards to the whole thing. The Premier League seems
100%.
From the very start, the Premier League's been very hush-hush with their meetings about the voting and the this and the that, and you never really knew what was going on, which is the worst thing you could really do in a situation like this.
It seems like at times they're kind of mirroring the UK government, the Premier League at times.
100%.
A lot of stick for the way they've handled things,
It's almost like, and I've almost wondered about this, it's like the UK government's also sort of edging them a little bit, saying, you know what, the people need a little bit more, they need something to take their mind off things. You need to get back going. Like, you're almost feeling in a way that morale is down. Fuck, give them a little bit of football to get the morale up a little bit. And I don't think the government's also been great on their part when it comes to it, because German government, they were like, this is where we are. Sport is allowed. Boom. There was no ifs, buts, maybes. It was.
Yeah.
This day of June, if there's no positive tests, football's allowed. Boom, done.
Yeah.
The Premier League, it's all ifs and buts a little bit, which is, it makes you wonder a little bit. That's for me. Like, I'm happy that it's back, but I'll be interested to see. I'm very interested to see what happens if a team starts running through a team. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, let's hope that. I mean, obviously, we hope that doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I just can't wait. To watch a football match, a Premier League football match again. Guys, I can't wait.
I can't wait to hear Peter Drury or something. I just want
Ryan, you support Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Liverpool? Chelsea. How are you feeling about the transfer talk surrounding your club at the moment? It's a good time to be a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, it's a good time. Obviously, like Keegan knows, I'm not huge into transfer talk. I'm the type of guy that I believe something once it's on the official website.
You've been burned, just like we have.
Yeah, but yeah, with the speak at the moment seems quite legit. Very happy with it, getting quality proven youngsters in to obviously strengthen what we have already. So yeah, not a bad time for Chelsea. I think that even this little break was probably, all things considered, for all the clubs, probably better for us than anyone else, in terms of just because of our new setup. And I just felt we didn't, at times we clicked proper, but we lacked consistency. And I think this gave Lampard a bit of more time, obviously not so much on the training pitch, but in terms of chatting with the guys and getting them to understand his style better and each other better. So yeah, I think this whole season has been good for me. We're in 4th spot, which was the goal. Hopefully we can stay there. And 1 or 2, well, probably 3 signings away from having a very good team next year.
I do think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I also think Chelsea are throwing like all their eggs in one basket. It's like next year we will be in Champions League. You know, we will be in the Champions League. We're signing Timo Werner, ZX obviously signed already. Kai Havertz has been linked, and then Ben Chilwell too. So imagine Chelsea pull all these transfers off and they don't get in Champions League. So it's kind of like a brave strategy in my opinion. I like what I'm seeing there. Obviously, and it's a young squad. I love watching Chelsea play when they're on song with Mason Mount and Hudson-Odoi and all these guys.
I think
it's kind of risky too.
Yeah, I'm sure it is risky, but I think it's probably more risky on the players' side, you know, because the players need to buy into the fact that they also believe that we'll be top 4 before signing. And even, I mean, obviously we're sitting in 4th place, not comfortably, but I think as a young player, someone like Werner would probably look at, even if we don't play there next year, we're surely going in the right direction after that.
I'd say exactly. You're joining for the project. It's not for the long term.
I think for a young player, that's it's a good place to go to, in my opinion, at the moment. Hopefully we can keep.
And I saw Chelsea. I saw that Chelsea were also open, or they want to sell a few players too. Maybe balance the books a little.
Well, look, I'm sure Pedro's probably going. He needs
Willian too.
Willian, I would like for Willian to stay a bit, but he's probably going to go. All of them, I mean, they're getting older, but they're still first team quality, maybe just not in our setup. So that I think they deserve to go elsewhere and play another year or 2. I saw Giroud, we're keeping, we gave him an extension.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that doesn't bode very well, in my opinion, for Batshuayi. Especially if Werner comes in, then he's obviously way down the pecking order then. So I think we might offload him. But the rest of the squad I think should remain as is. Hopefully getting a new left back.
Need a new goalkeeper as well.
Imagine Ben Chilwell goes to Chelsea. That would be a phenomenal signing.
Yeah,
I can see that happen.
I think you'll be the first proper left back we've had since Ashley Cole, probably. Although Azpilicueta played there in the beginning, and I thought he was super strong there back in the day. But I think he would make a huge difference for us.
I think what happens a lot. I think not what happens a lot, but I mean, I think another thing from Chelsea is I think that goalkeeping situation right now. I think that's something that needs to really, really needs to be sorted in a way. I know Kepa's young and this and that, but I don't know. He seems a goalkeeper he doesn't seem like De Gea, when De Gea was young, but he seems like a different breed of type of Spaniard in a way. I don't know if he's 100% happy in England. I don't know. I never watch him and go, fuck, this guy wants to be to Chelsea for the rest of his career. I don't know. It's something weird I get about him. And the number 2 is shaky as hell. He's I think it's Willian.
Well, he's also 58 years old. So
Willie's 58. So he's suffering with brain. He's suffering with brain trauma when he stands in between in the fucking posts because
I don't know. I think Kepa is a good goalkeeper. I actually think that he's got so much potential, and he I mean, he was. I think he is still Spain's number one at the moment. He had De Gea bench for a while. So I do see Keeks. I see your point though. I'm not sure if he's in it for the long term, but I do think he's a good goalkeeper and he's capable of like phenomenal saves, which we've seen a few times.
I have nothing against him.
I think his shot stopping is excellent. I think he just needs to like brush up on a few other little areas of his game.
I think he seems to have at first under Sarri, everyone obviously thought it was an attitude problem. But I think it's more focused.
Remember when he tried to call the shots?
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be on Twitter, yeah.
But I think
I thought he was going to get shot.
That was so funny, yeah.
Sarri pulls a gun out. I was like, sorry, he's going full Italian.
I think it's more a focusing issue, which and I feel that we'll definitely keep him for now because I think Lampard backs himself as a man manager to sort that out. I think what Lampard did was great in, I think it was 2 or 3 games where he dropped Kepa.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a huge call for a young manager to make. And Kepa came back for 1 or 2 games, if I remember correctly. And he did look better before the break. So I think in that sense, this break came at a bit of a cut time. But I would definitely keep him for now. And
for sure, yeah. And he was, I mean, look, he was a huge investment. He came for a big sum of money. But at the end of the day, like you guys just...
expensive at the time, or still is.
Yeah. And like you guys pointed out, I think what Lampard did with him by dropping him just to keep him on his toes, I think that was good. And I think it will pay off. I think he's going to be a top keeper. And he's really young. I think he's got loads of potential. Probably shouldn't try to tell coaches to keep him on the field going forward. But I think he's a top player.
Yeah, I think Chelsea...
Especially an Italian coach.
I think probably have a good coaching setup to deal with someone who's young and has those issues because they've all come from Chelsea's youth setup coaches.
For sure.
So I think they'll be able to sort that out.
And what about, Keeks, what about N'Golo Kante? I've seen that he's been linked with like Real Madrid or just moves away from Chelsea. And he hasn't, I mean, for most part of this season, he's been injured. So he hasn't really been like an essential part of Lampard's system, at least yet.
No, he hasn't, but he also hasn't played since before Sarri in his best role, which is an out-and-out defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I mean, obviously I don't want to get rid of the guy, but in my opinion, I would rather utilize him as a proper DM. We could see if we're going, because I've got a feeling if we get Timo Werner, then we're probably going to look at going 2 up front, which I think we'll see Conte being used in a better position. But I don't think, I've never gotten the feeling that he wants to leave or
no. I think it's just too nice to ask for a transfer, to be honest. I think if he was desperate for a move, he would just be like, you know what? I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to bother anyone.
Look, we've also seen now with this Corona thing. I mean, I know at one stage he wasn't training because of his he's got some heart condition, and
yes, I saw that.
He's now been training and is presumably available to play and whatever. So I don't think he's going to do that and put himself at risk like that if he's not keen to play. So I think his transfer links, I think, has probably got more to do with headline writing than anything else.
Probably, yeah. And other clubs wanting him more than he wants to leave,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, the coaches have spoken of, been listening to Klopp quite a bit, and a lot of other coaches have come out. Nuno came out saying, the players that are there training, no player, this is managers and I'll take it as a pinch of salt, but no player has been forced to come back to train.
Yeah.
If they have felt too uncomfortable about that, every right to stay at home. The club can't do anything to them contractually or anything like that. So I think if a player is in training at this point in time, he wants to be there. And I do truly believe that.
It would be counterproductive for a coach anyway to force someone to play that's doesn't want to, because there's no way he's going to give his all in training or in a match.
Yeah,
and
I think also as a
coachman.
Yeah, and as much shit as we've given the Premier League and things like that, it also probably shows that they do trust what's happening around them and the way their clubs are handling the situation, you know, in terms of social distancing and things like that. So maybe they are doing more right than we see. But like you said, Klopp said it. Troy Deeney said it. Remember, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. He said, I actually just refuse to go to training. I'm not going to go. I've got a newborn baby. And
that's fair enough. As a family man, I don't think fans and I don't think coaches and I don't think anyone would hold it against someone at that point in time. Sure. I mean, we're in a interesting place in the world or time in the world where none of us have really lived through anything like this or gone through anything like this. So it's all a learning curve for everyone. And I think the only way you're going to get the best out of someone is if that person is comfortable. And if you're not comfortable to be anywhere, you're not going to get the best out of that person at all. He's never going to give his best.
Yeah. So, I do love how all of these rules go out the window when someone scores a goal, though. I've been watching La Liga and everyone's kissing each other on the lips. And it's just like, what's going on, guys?
The first weekend of the Bundesliga was funny. It's like, it was so awkward scoring a goal. They're all looking at each other going,
what do we do?
Do we whatever? I think Haaland he was the only one who had something sorted out in the Bundesliga.
Yes, he had some planned celebration,
Speaking of celebrations, and sort of...
I've got one more question for Kurt, though, quickly on player.
Yeah.
Kurt's back in action. We haven't seen him the entire season. His dad's back on the field.
And if you have time for this, because I've got time to talk about my dad.
I know, and
I just need
Kurt's
to know who dad is. That's all I'm wondering.
No, we'll get there, but Kurt
looks nothing like
Kurt's
me.
Dad, it looks nothing like Kurt, and it's not Messi because that is his favorite. Like Kurt, he's the Messiah for Kurt.
He's playing tonight, and I can't wait. Yeah,
there we go. But Kurt's dad is back, and his dad is Paul Pogba.
Oh, say it again.
And he's back, and he was playing a friendly, and he's got a guy called Bruno next to him.
Oh, say it again. I can't believe it.
Bruno.
I know.
And then you got my favorite. You got McSauce.
McSauce. That's the midfield three I would love to see. Honestly, I would love to see Pogba, Bruno, and McTominay play together. But I do feel that would obviously be harsh on Fred, who's had a phenomenal season.
100%. I have nothing against the little...
He's done excellently this season. And then, obviously, before the break, we saw Matic come back into the fold, and he was excellent too. He played himself back into the team. So I think if you're going to drop one of those five players, first to go is probably Matic. But then choosing between McTominay... choosing between McTominay and Pogba, Fernandes, and who's Fred... That becomes difficult, but it's a nice problem to have, a problem that United haven't had in a long time. Quality.
Definitely.
In midfield.
Definitely.
I can't wait. And I just can't wait to see, to your point, Keegan, I can't wait to see Pogba back. I've been waiting for this day. I mean, he's played, I think, 8 games this season in all competitions. So I can't wait.
My thing is just to see his attitude. I just want to see what type of Pogba we see. Like that. Yeah. I see the body. I want to see... Are we going to see a Pogba that's just going to do his job? Because if that's the Pogba we're going to see, I'm going to love that Pogba.
Yeah.
See the Pogba that's going to try prove a point, that's the Pogba I don't want to see. I don't want to see prove a point stuff. I don't want to see trying to prove something to get to another, a way out of United.
Yeah.
I actually want to see a Pogba that just fucking does his job. You know what I mean?
Look, if he's gonna leave United at the end of the season, then he must go. And honestly, 100%. He must go. The stuff that his agent gets up to and the things his agent says in the press, it's so disrespectful to the club. And even, you guys, well, now Ryan and Keegan, how much I love Pogba. Honestly, if that whole thing continues, then fuck off. Then he must actually just leave. But
the biggest problem with that camp is that none of them seem to focus on fucking playing football.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exactly. Like
manager and everyone around him.
I just don't understand how or why Mino Raiola would be like that towards the club, and towards Solskjaer.
It's a strange thing with him. I mean, if you look at all his players, in a way that it's always never about the player trying to play football. It's always about it's always off the field things.
Yeah.
With me, his clients, and
yeah,
I think that's now starting to work on everyone's nerves, and everyone that Mino player is sort of saying the same thing. It's never the on the field stuff that we talk about his clients. It's always it's always things that are happening behind the scenes and off the field.
Can you believe that Jesse Lingard is signed to him?
Oh, well, fuck! I hope he goes.
When I saw that, I just thought, oh, it's a way out. He's finally.
I know that's exactly what I said as well. It's like maybe he can go play for MK Dons again.
Well, maybe he'll become the new exit guy for anyone at United. If you want out,
you go to Mino Raiola.
Hey, I still
that's what everyone assumed he was doing. It was everyone thought he's signing to Mino so he could find a way out.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I can't wait. No, I can't wait to see Pogba back. I just feel like all that off-field stuff I'm even tired of. I've always defended him, but a couple of months ago I went on this, a bit of a rant. I made quite a thread about Raiola and Pogba and how I'm tired of it and I just want him to go now. If he doesn't want to be there, he must go. So I hope what we see when he does return now is he gives his all for the last few months, if he's going to leave at the end of the season. But then, of course, there's still, something inside of me that says, no, stay. Don't go anywhere. Please connect with Bruno. Fall in love with one another.
The strange thing that's happened at this point in time, Kurt, and what's a change which we've never seen since Pogba's arrived, is there's actually good news coming out of United camp.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
He's been how, he's had a bit of a leadership role. He's come back a different player since the break. There's a lot of this type of talk around, positively. Since Pogba's arrived, we've never had this talk.
Yeah.
We've never had this talk linked to the club. It's always been some sort of negativity linked to him. So it could be something different. We don't know.
I watched a lot of those interviews on Sky Sports from the beginning of lockdown, and there were a lot of interviews. One was with Rashford. There was one with Maguire. There's been a few with Solskjaer, if I recall correctly. And everything just seems positive right now. And I've been so impressed with Maguire. I don't know if you guys have watched any of those videos, but he's been just the way he handles himself. And he's so proud to play for Manchester United, so proud to be the captain of Manchester United.
But he's a leader. You can see he's a leader.
What more could you ask for? I gave him a tough time because I didn't think that he was worth 80 million or 85 million, whatever it was. I still don't think he's worth that kind of money. I don't think he'll ever be worth that kind of money. But
anyone's going to struggle to live up to that price tag.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, absolutely. But I've just been so impressed, with his leadership. When they were talking about pay cuts and things like that, he was the guy in the WhatsApp group organizing everything. He's the guy checking up on all of his teammates and things like that. So just for once, it seems like things are going well at the club. Everything seems good in the camp. Everything seems positive, and I hope that obviously reflects when United return against Spurs.
I think for Pogba to have, I think that's the environment that he needs to either finish the season off properly with United and his career, or to have a good season and stay on and become the Pogba that, I'm not a fan of the guy, I never really have been, but he deserves better for himself.
Yeah, I've always thought that, and that's why I've always defended him.
Whether that be at United or somewhere else, I think he needs to. And I think this, with a positive environment, plus coming off a long off-lay and having obviously had some time to think and get his head straight, I think this is his best chance of proving himself at United.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And getting some consistency. So just a couple of things I picked up also on another article earlier was a couple of rule changes that's now been implemented for the return. A couple of interesting ones, one of them being that you can now make 5 subs 3 times. It looks like there's 3 windows to make subs, or not windows, but you can make 5 subs 3 times. So obviously you have to make like 2
until the end of the season.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's probably just a fitness thing.
I think so. I think they're just trying to protect the players. Look, I kind of think that it's silly to make it like just 3 times, if I'm honest with you. I don't think they're doing that in other leagues. I think in Spain and in Bundesliga, they're just allowing 5 substitutes.
Every match, yeah.
You can do it every...
That probably has to do with the time that it takes to make the sub, the stoppage.
Do you think so?
That's all I can think of.
Look, it's an even playing field because everybody can only do it 3 times. So that's, in that sense, it's fair. But I just feel like if you're doing it to protect players, then protect players and just allow it until the end of the season. It doesn't mean a coach will and has to make 5 substitutions again.
Yeah. So also considering now you could end up with a situation where by 80 minutes you've made 4 subs in 3 installments. Now one guy gets injured. So now you have.
Yeah. I mean,
that doesn't really make sense.
No, exactly. So I'm not really sure what the point of that is. Maybe somewhere I've just missed it. They've explained it, but no, I think they should have allowed 5 substitutes in every game for the rest of the season. I think we only have, how many more? Is it 10 games? 11 games?
I think it's 9.
9 games, yeah. I think there were a few teams or 2 teams with a game in hand.
Yeah.
Obviously, a game in hand at this point for Manchester City has never meant less than it does right now. But
yeah.
Then, I think that whole 5 subs thing is a bit. I'd be like, to be fair, in any sport, and even like rugby, which you guys don't really follow in it, like there's very often it's so slim that a coach throws all 5 guys, like replace guys at once.
Yeah, it just changes too much of the dynamic.
Although
exactly.
one guy I wouldn't put that past is Jose Mourinho. He's someone that'll try that.
For sure, yeah. 5 defenders off the bench.
Yeah.
If he was leading 1-0, 5 would come off the bench.
Yeah.
Then I saw there's also two new rules that obviously make sense is no handshakes and no spitting. Spitting, I suppose, is an interesting one because you're still sweating, and I don't know if it transmits through sweat or not, but anyway. One interesting thing that I would love to see the implementation of is the no crowding of the officials.
I love that.
Oh,
that's
my goodness.
Yeah. Rule so far. That is my best rule out of this whole thing so far. Avoid confrontation.
That's like kind of been a soft rule forever, and no one's ever given a fuck about that.
That's funny. I'll tell you.
Wayne Rooney gave 0 fucks about that rule during his time.
Oh, my God, yeah. Can you imagine that rule implemented in Spain? Or, I mean, maybe it has been. Those players just would not. Have you seen Valencia when a player of theirs gets chopped?
It's the guy from Sweden going over to the opposition's box to scream.
Yeah. The more people around the referee, the better, the chances of convincing him to overturn his decision, for sure.
Yeah. That happens every time. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I also wonder what they're going to, like, is it going to be a yellow card offense or, because I can just kind of see, someone rushing the ref and then getting a yellow card, then his teammates get the fuck and they rush him, and then it's like this effect of everyone just getting yellow card.
Yeah. I hope that happens. I really want to see that just for the laugh.
Look, in my opinion, they should keep this a rule going forward because I do think the players get away with way too much in terms of the refs, or at least in their face.
I don't know if you guys saw, when was it? Was it last year? I just can't remember now because of football being on such a long break. But Ashley Barnes had a go at a linesman was it last month? I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was the worst I've ever seen. It was pretty much the same as when Arda Turan threw a boot at the linesman. It was so bad, nothing happened. And I was like, am I the only person seeing this? There's 50,000 people in that stadium. How are they not seeing how he's treating that linesman? And nothing happened to him. Nothing ever happened to him. So
it's because he didn't kick a bottle.
I think that rule should stay on. Yeah, true.
Because he didn't kick a bottle or throw a bottle.
Like I know from playing hockey and I as far as I know in rugby it's the same. if I just look at a ref funny on the hockey field, then they want to send you off.
Yeah.
They don't allow fucking nothing on, and that's how it should be.
I mean, in rugby, you've got only the captain talking to the ref. Am I right, Keeks? I literally don't know anything about rugby.
Well, most of the time, yeah. Basically, yes. If anyone else talks, there's shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Well, that's how it should be. That's how it should be in football. I mean, I don't understand. Look, I think you should be able to talk to the referee. If you disagree with them and it's like kind of lighthearted, then fine. But if you're going to go and yell in the referee's face and have your noses touching, then, maybe.
But in the fifth div, that's allowed, Kurt. In the fifth div.
Yeah. Oh, where I play, absolutely.
Well,
I've got a teammate who literally will tell the one referee, "Oh, ref, fuck off, man. Oh, you're a cunt, ref." And nothing ever happens. They just like banter like that. It's funny.
Legit. We used to play in the same league, and
the ref, Keeks. It's that Mark, man, the short guy from Edgemead.
Yep.
Yeah. Just allows anything. Yeah.
So yeah, you see, football's just a different breed. Like screaming and shouting and swearing at refs is just acceptable. I'm pretty sure there's actually a rule in the book somewhere where it says it's acceptable, because refs allow it. My thing is this: where hockey and rugby and stuff, a ref just wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
So if you did it, you were just gonna get a card, a red card or whatever, straight away. For me, football refs have also just need to sometimes step it up and just be like, "Oh, you told me to fuck off. Well, guess what? Get fucked to the change room, mate." And it's only going to happen 3 or 4 times. It's literally only going to happen 3-4 times, and you're probably going to stomp it out of the game.
It seems like it might be, I don't know. I'm sorry, my internet connection was a bit unstable there. I think I'm back.
You're back.
I think because in leagues, like when I used to play first team, what league is that, Keegan? The league that Edgemead would be playing in the first team. What's it called? It's called the Super League, right?
I think it's Super League, yeah.
Yeah. So we had players swear at referees and the referees send them off, and they wouldn't allow for that. I just think maybe in the Premier League, or at that level at least, it's kind of like, what, the stakes are higher, emotions are running wild, what to play for. So maybe let's apply some logic. If a player gets frustrated, it's just because he's frustrated. And if he's swearing, it's just because he's frustrated. Of course, if you're talking to the referee in that manner and you're telling the referee to go get fucked and things like that, then that shouldn't be acceptable. But I do think that just shouting and maybe showing some anger at times, that should be allowed. That's why I'm pretty sure referees just kind of look past that. But of course, getting into a referee's face and things like that, that's quite embarrassing.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you're just showing frustration, there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's
that's not an issue
for a player, then
players get booked for picking up, if they have a ball in their hand and hitting it down, right, or throwing it down in the ground. That's very rarely a direct reaction towards the referee. It's just out of frustration, but that's a straight yellow card.
Yeah. But you can get into the red space and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
Do yourself a favor. So in rugby, there's a referee, if you guys don't know, called Nigel Owens. Probably one of the best referees in rugby.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Has a lovely banter with the guys during the game. Like, he'll literally banter with the rugby players in the game. He'll talk to them like school kids.
Yeah.
When they shout at him. So he does an interview about a month back on House of Rugby, which is done by the Joe. And they asked him, "So Nigel, when you retire from rugby, is there anything else that you would like sort of do?" Nice cat there, man.
I had my pussy on the screen.
And then he literally said he would love to do a football game at some point. He would love to referee a football game. Can you imagine a rugby ref reffing a football game? It would be pure chaos. I don't think he would have any of it.
Well, it would be funny if he was mic'd up and had a strong banter game.
Seems like
let's wrap this up quickly. Just having look at some of the sort of standout fixtures of the weekend. Tomorrow we've got one big game, which is City against Arsenal. City currently lying second on the log, and Arsenal is all the way down in ninth.
I think Villa and Sheffield is a bigger game.
Well, Villa's got it all to do because they're in the relegation battle. Sheffield obviously by the season in seventh.
I was looking at that, and it looks like a couple of wins for Villa, and they turned it right around. I mean, the gap between Villa and West Ham in, 16th or 17th? I think 16th. Isn't too big. I mean, I think it's 4 points or something like that. Am I right, Brian?
Well, they're sitting on West Ham 16th is on 27 and Villa's on 25. And
they're right.
The Villa's 4 points off Brighton in 15th place.
You see, I mean, it's all to play for.
Yeah, and they've got a game in hand as well, which is why they're playing 2 games this game.
Yes. Yeah. But that City Arsenal game, I think, is going to be lovely to watch, because I think Arteta, I mean, we know Arteta was credited for so many of Pep Guardiola's little tactical tweaks and things like that. So having so much intel and information on how City set up and the way they try and play, and those little tactical tweaks that Pep Guardiola does within a match. I mean, I just can Arteta anticipate what he's going to do and things like that, the team he's going to play, the way he's going to try and play. And then on the other side of that, it's also, Arteta's had a few months now to think about the way he wants to continue or go forward with his Arsenal team. Although he hasn't been able to work out on the training field as much, of course. But I think that's going to be fascinating because, I mean, he's had time to work with the players, kind of think about it. And, I don't know. I wouldn't bet on the City win there.
Yeah, I think it also makes it interesting because there's absolutely no sort of form guide to go on, and we've got no idea.
And no home ground advantage right now.
Yeah.
Where are they playing? At the Etihad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then City's at home. Then City's fine. They're used to playing in an empty stadium.
Yeah, City's the only club with a real advantage for the empty stadiums because they're used to it.
Yeah, they saw
top bands, Jen. Top bands.
So what are we going for? City, Arsenal, win, draw, loss?
I'm going to go for a draw.
Keegs, I think so too. I think I'm going to go draw too.
I was also bagging the draw in that one. I think there will be goals at least. Hopefully not a goalless draw, but I think a draw.
Do you know what? I'm going to go, if I was betting tomorrow night, I would go for a Villa win and a draw in the second game. I think this break might have shafted Sheffield United a little bit.
Do you think so, Keegan?
When you're on a roll, Kurt, think about it. When you're on a roll, you just want to keep playing. You don't want to break. When things are going...
You're saying the momentum's gone.
I'm not saying it's gone. I'm saying it's possibly gone because when things are...
No, I think so, yeah.
And everyone is on the same page. You want the next game to be tomorrow. Because you just want to keep going. And I think a side like Sheffield, if there's going to be a loser in a break like this, it could be a Sheffield. Because they were on such a high run.
Yeah.
For the break.
That's a good point.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would predict, I wouldn't be against that.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, then looking at Friday, I think this is possibly the first time ever that we see two fixtures on a Friday. But the second one on Friday is the big one, is Spurs against United. Obviously, a couple of talking points there.
I don't know what to think, to be honest with you. I don't know what to think. I think United, like we just talked about, all the positives coming out of the United camp right now, and things appearing so good, it would just also be the most United thing to do to get off to a terribly slow start.
I was going to draw that game as well.
Do you think so?
That game.
Draw. I
wouldn't bet against the score draw in that game.
I think I'm going to go United win.
with the empty stadium, who knows what happened. I think it's also teams that have played in empty stadiums. I think that'll make a huge difference, eh? Like some teams haven't played in stadiums. And remember, United played that Europa League game in an empty stadium.
Yeah.
I do think those little things will make it won't give you a huge difference, like advantage, but I do think your players will be a little bit more had it done.
I think, Keegs, like, if I could just jump in there, I think United historically has been a team that plays to the crowd and that needs the crowd on its back. Yeah, well, needs the crowd's backing rather.
Yes.
So that is going to be tricky for me. Like we saw last time. Look, I hope these days are behind us. But we saw last season and the year before that under Mourinho, when things were bad, things were so bad. I remember one away game at Brighton. I think we were losing and we couldn't string a pass. I think Pogba was hitting 40-yarders directly into the 25th row.
I think Sanchez ran into the right back like 9 out of 10 times.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen. And what we needed that game, and it was away at Brighton, was fans, was crowd support. But we couldn't get any of that. We were just getting jeered and whistled, and it was terrible. So I think in that regard, United might struggle because when things are bad and slow, it's really bad and really slow. So hopefully that's gone. Hopefully those days are behind us. But I don't know. I just worry.
You could be spot on there.
I've been hurt. You know what I mean? It's been 7 years of hurt.
We've been hurt.
Also, one possible positive there is we might get to hear some good quotes from Mourinho during the game if they have them. If they have the mic set up for him. Okay, then another big one is on Sunday, the little Merseyside derby, Everton, Liverpool.
That's going to Merseyside derby without fans.
What a time to play.
Just doesn't sit right. For me, like if I'm Everton, if you play Merseyside derby at home, like you would prefer to play Everton at Everton with no fans.
Yeah, I mean, look, when last has that been a good match anyway? Didn't Klopp field like 14-year-olds against them in the first Merseyside derby? It wasn't obviously 14. No. I'm making a joke, but he played all of his second stringers. And I think they won like, what was it, by a few goals. It was like Everton weren't in the game.
But that wasn't a Carlo Ancelotti Everton.
No, you're right.
I think with Ancelotti there, it's a slightly bit like different game. But I also don't think, if I'm Liverpool, I'm not worried about that game now because you're going to an empty Goodison. So you don't have to worry about that crowd being on your back.
Yeah. And I think those players will be, And I just think that those players are going to be so focused on getting the job done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Knowing that a result like, an Arsenal win at City or something like that could hand in the title even sooner. Or I think there's some sort of scenario.
I wouldn't be surprised if they smash Everton like 3-0 or something. Honestly, surprise me.
You've got
Everton only had a chance if they had fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
You've got a Liverpool team that's been waiting, well, not necessarily the same team, but the club as a whole for fucking years, more than 20 years for a trophy. They had it even more delayed now with a flipping worldwide pandemic. They're going to be so focused and so ready to just pump whoever is in front of them. And then the last couple of games, they probably just play the youth and give that a
Do you guys think that it's putting the season or this break at least has put a dampener on their title win?
Well, they won't be able to celebrate.
I know. Like obviously the open the bus parade and things like that. That's not happening. But do you guys think it's put like a dampener? Do you think this will be like remembered in 15 years' time as Liverpool's first trophy win in 30 years? As the season they dominated and like broke all records, things like that, or is it just?
I think so. I think it will. I think it will just. The pandemic will be like a little bit of a. It will be like a. Like they'll use it like in some other story, like to add to the title winning season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think knowing their fans. Let me first put it this way. In my opinion, the pandemic's an afternote as to what they've achieved this year, because like it or not, they've been incredible this year.
By far the best, for sure.
Yeah, we can't. I even said that even if we don't finish the season, I thought that they deserve to be awarded champions. But knowing their fans, I think they will definitely make sure that 30 years from now, it'll be a case of, despite a worldwide pandemic, we still won the league.
We still,
so
exactly.
They'll use that to their bragging rights for sure.
That's funny. They're going to leave out the part where it happened after they had already basically secured it. That's
They'll make it sound like they played straight through this pandemic.
Look, I mean, it's so easy now to forget how dominant they were. But I mean, what's the point difference? 25 points.
Yeah,
that's just like unreal. They've honestly they made it a one-team league.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be like that next season, but
very long time in the Premier League.
Well, City was the last one to do it when they hit that 100 points, wasn't it? So was it 100 points or something? I think City hit it. They hit 100.
But what was the gap between them and second place that year?
I think it was huge.
It was, you're right.
It was pretty big. I don't think maybe it was 25 points, but it was still quite a big gap. So
I know a couple of years back.
We've seen in the Premier League that when there's a big gap the following year, the league is a lot tighter. We've seen that so often in the Premier League.
Everyone trying to play catch up.
Yeah, I think next season is going to be a lot more competitive from a lot of the other teams.
I think another one, a fixture that stands out for me though as well, and I know we don't talk about it because obviously, like it's a fan thing, and we don't. I mean, there's a few Leicester City fans. I know a few Leicester City fans here in the country, and that yes, they're all come from Leicester, and that, but like they third at the moment, and they're playing Watford away, and them puts them like. If City drop points, if City lose to Arsenal and they win, they're 2 points behind City in third place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite ridiculous if you think about it. Like
it's phenomenal. Also, just like, I think, it was such a freak season when they went on and won the league. And everybody kind of just at least like wrote it off as a freak season. Like, well, that will never happen again. But for them to be following that up with like, a third place finish or maybe even a second place finish, a couple of years later, it just shows that they haven't fallen off and they are actually getting better.
Especially considering the caliber of players that they always also lost in that time, and the fact that they don't have the funds to man-to-man
exactly
players.
Exactly. But the squad they've put together is this, I think, and I think you guys would probably agree with me, but this squad as a whole is better than their title-winning squad a couple of years ago.
Definitely.
The players that they have now as a whole, it's a better group.
Yeah, you know what? That title league squad reminded me a little when Keegan said just now about Sheffield being on this sort of roller coaster run of momentum. And to me, that's what happened that season. Is they won a couple of games and they just started believing in themselves, and they were just on this roller coaster, and they just somehow never fucking got knocked off it.
Yeah, and just took it one game at a time, and that's what every team wants to do and should be doing, but you can't help but think ahead because that's how the game, that's how it goes. But they just literally said, we have nothing to lose. Let's just take it game by game. And they went on and
I do believe if you put that same team together again, they're not winning the league.
No, definitely not.
I think the side distractions as well is a big thing, guys. I think like the clubs that we support, we've got a lot of side distractions when it comes to cups. It comes to being in Europe.
Yeah, for sure. That plays a huge role.
All these side distractions, and a club like that not having any side distractions, where you get yourself in a position where you're like, shit, we could realistically win this thing if we just get one game at a time and fully focus on that specific thing. I think it'll be many years before we see something like that again. I do think we will see it again by another club at some time, but I think it would take another 20, 30 years before we see something like that again.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, James. Well, it's been a pleasure.
It's been great. Yeah.
Enjoyed it, man.
Thanks catch up, maybe.
Maybe
after this,
we'll probably do another one.
We'll do a follow-up.
Yeah, hopefully we get some good action this weekend.